The average solo GP is dead. Being handcuffed to a practice that only makes money while you're drilling crushes your freedom. Being trapped at the office is no way to experience life. And doing more fillings and crowns ain't the answer to freedom. Stop it. Freedom comes when your practice makes money without you. Freedom is choosing how many days and how you dental. Ready to forge your freedom? Then keep listening to become a super GP and super CEO. This is the Titanium Practice Podcast with your host, Dr. Stephen Freeman. Let's go.
Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to what's sure to be the best episode of the Titanium Practice Podcast. I'm your host and personal freedom coach, Dr. Stephen Freeman. How y'all doing today? Hope you are all well out there. Hope you are getting out there and doing some fun things away from the office and not thinking about the office quite as much. So today, I'm going to talk about the fact I took a trip not long ago with my best friend, who is a certified financial advisor. And we're in Asheville. Cool city, by the way, if you've never been there. It's kind of perfect for a fall getaway, especially if you live somewhere that's hot and humid all the time. You get a chance to go away and see it. There's all sorts of things to do, whether it's summer, winter, or fall. So it's a pretty cool place. A lot of microbrews around there as well, so you can check that on out. Hung out at the Sierra Nevada Brewery for a long time and drank beer, listened to live music. I mean, doesn't get any better than that, right? So we were sitting there and we were talking one of the nights and just talking about, you know, where the market is, where it's headed, and accumulation of wealth. And so, you know, we're talking about that, like the stock market is just on this rocket ship to the moon. Bitcoin's just, I mean, going insane. And it's just, there's so much out there. There's just buy. And it's, you kick yourself because you could have gotten Bitcoin for like a third of what it is, you know, just a couple months ago. And you're like, you know, should have done that. But also kind of this general idea of, you know, accumulation of wealth and money. And so most people, when they start to think about retirement, they're just like, what number do I need to get to in order to be able to retire? So they kind of have this concept of, I need to form this giant pile of money, and when it reaches a certain point, then I can retire. And it's different for everyone because, you know, it's always so funny because you just like, you look online and they'll have, you know, what number do I need to retire? No one except someone being able to look at your exact situation can tell you whatever that number is. You know, most average people out there want to get to $1 million. Well, most of you that I'm talking to, $1 million probably ain't gonna cut it. Going to be far short of where you need to be. You know, obviously we're talking more like $5 million, $10 million, $15 million if you're using that metric of the idea of you build this giant nest egg and then you're just going to draw down on that nest egg over time. And so, you know, he's a big fan of that. That's his whole shtick. That's how he makes money. You know, my buddy who you know wants to sell you all these products and vehicles to try to get you to some giant number that you can then draw down upon. And for me, I was very fortunate that a number of years ago, I was introduced to this concept of your freedom number. And what better thing to be talking on the Titanium Practice Podcast, where we're all about freedom here, than your freedom number. Because you need to know where you're headed before this all starts. Before it all starts, you need to have this concept, in my opinion, of the freedom number in your mind so you know where you're going, starting with the end in mind, so that you know when you've gotten there. Because otherwise, it's this, for everybody else, it's retirement to the vast majority of this country is either unattainable or it's some nebulous number that they can't possibly, well, how much is enough? How much do I need to throw on the pile in order to get to the point of where I can retire? Which, by the way, I hate the concept of retiring. Like, I don't want to be set out to pasture. That sounds like I have plenty to do and I have plenty of time off. I like doing this. Like, I enjoy talking to you all. I enjoy having, other businesses out there to take care of and do things with. That keeps me going. And, in the longevity podcast, we talk about the concept of Ikigai, a purpose, a point. And yes, I love my kids. My kids are younger, and so they're kind of my reason right now, and that's why we travel as much as we do. But there's only so much traveling you can do. I mean, we go all over the place. We go everywhere. I was talking about being in North Carolina not too long ago, Utah, going to Europe this summer for a couple weeks. We'll go on a cruise again later this year. At the end of the day, it's just, there's only so much traveling you can do. But I also like being back at home with my friends, and I've got a really close group of friends, and we do stupid things all the time together. And, it's fun to do that. And then they have jobs that they're handcuffed to all the time and always have to be at. So there's only, so much time they can get away and do stuff. So you have, and there's only so many rounds of golf you can go and play. So you have to, keep something going that you have a purpose and a reason for, and honestly, that can make you feel important. There's not one person on here that's listening to this that can possibly tell me it doesn't feel good to walk into the office and you have a bunch of people who respect you. That's a good feeling. There's no two ways, and that's not a bad feeling either. It's not bad to feel that way. You're important. You're a big deal. All those people rely on you for their paycheck. That's really freaking cool. And we don't think about that. We don't think about that very often, that those people feed their families based upon your decisions and your actions. And so they should respect you. And it pisses you off when they don't respect you, because every once in a while you get one of those too. But that has value to it. That has value to it. So I don't even like the idea of retiring. I originally built my practice so that I could sell it. And now I try to, figure out how I can have a practice that I love so much that I never want to sell. Because it's your number one expense you have are taxes. The best way to work within the tax code is your business. There's so much that they allow you to deduct that once you don't have that safe haven anymore, you can't deduct that stuff. So if you can hold on to it and create a business that doesn't need you, you never need to retire. That's why people want to retire. It's because, especially dentists, because most of y'all out there, what you've done, and I did this too. I did the exact same thing, is I built a well-paying job for me. And it's this concept, this book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And they talk about the fact that you're not really an entrepreneur. You don't really have a business. You have a high-paying job. And once you realize that, you realize you need to change things, because everything relies upon you to create money in that practice. Everything does. And it's funny because for the longest time I had disability insurance. Because what the hell happens to you if you go and break your wrist, you break your leg, you go want to take one of these vacations I tell you to take and you break your leg, going skiing down a mountain or something like that? Holy crap. Where's your money coming from? You need to have that disability insurance. I've got my disability insurance. I've got an army of associates that go out there and do things for me and generate money while I'm sitting in Utah or Europe or whatever. So my mission every day is I invest in people. You win with people. And that's in my mission, vision, core value episode. And so I want to create as many win-wins as possible. So I invest a lot in my actual employees, trying to make them better people. The better people they are, the better practice I have, and the more that I have a great environment to be in that creates very few hassles for me that I don't have to do anything about, so I can hold on to the practice. And I don't want to sell it. I want to hold on to it. But I kind of diverged from the topic just a little bit of kind of this personal freedom number. So this freedom number, what is it? So instead of the idea of just generating this giant nest egg, what you do is you take your money and I say invest it in commercial real estate. And specifically, what I would tell you to do is go and buy not another dental practice per se, but the building that houses another dental practice. Banks loan money to dentists because they're the number 2 safest small business out there. An owner-operated dental office is the second safest small business out there, only behind veterinarians. And when you've had that for long enough, for a couple of years, they'll actually go and they'll loan you money to go do a second one if you want. Third, it gets a little dicey, but those owner-operated dental offices are a sure bet. So when you get to having a chain of them, it becomes a little bit more sketchy. But at the same time, dentists are an extremely safe investment. So what I recommend is you look for absolute triple net dental offices. Again, not the practice, the building. You buy one of those. And the absolute triple net means you are responsible for nothing. Nothing. You're responsible for nothing. Okay? They pay the taxes. They pay the insurance. They pay for the maintenance on the building. It's better than mailbox money because most likely what you're going to find is they're going to ACH bank, send you a ACH in the bank, and it just shows up in your bank. So you wake up, so most people are used to on, the first of the month, all of a sudden, bills going out. I look forward to it because I got money coming in. And so you get another check for the rent, and there was nothing you needed to do. And I further, to make it even safer, recommend you get one in whatever state you're in. Okay? Because the number one risk of buying a building that has a business in it is if that business goes out of business. Well, guess what? You're a dentist. And if it's in your state, you can go start a dental practice in that office if it should go out of business. Now, it'll be a pain in the ass, but you actually make more money doing it. Because you don't have to start the practice and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But you'll actually make more money if you go to do that. But that's not the point. The point is you want to find out what your freedom number is. And what that means is you take everything that you spend, every last cent you spent last year on cable, your phones, your cars, your kids, your food, your entertainment, your everything, taxes, everything. If you got a mortgage, your mortgage, all of that stuff. Add all of everything you spent last year, and that will tell you how much it costs for you to live a year. And everyone's number is different. Some of you are thrifty and you live on like $150,000 a year. Some of you do twice that amount. Some of you do twice that amount. Some of you do twice that amount. I don't know what that number is, and it's different for everyone. But the whole point is that how many dentists, they're working till they're 70. And I'm assuming they're working till they're 70 because they have to, because they haven't figured out either how to achieve freedom, or maybe they actually really enjoy working as a dentist. I don't think they do. I think they do it because they haven't figured out how to achieve freedom, and really should have listened to this podcast because we'd have kind of gotten them retired 20 years earlier. So you take your total number that you need for a year and you figure out how you can have cash flow coming in to match that number. So let's give an example. Okay, so let's pretend you can get by. Let's start with the low number. Okay, so let's say you live off of $150,000 a year. Total expenses out the door is $150,000 a year. Okay, probably on the low end, but I'm just using this as an example. Okay, So you can definitely find a dental office, the actual office, not the practice, the actual office, for sale for, let's say, about $1.5 million. All right. You're going to be able to find one for sale that's $1.5 million, and there's going to have what's called a 7.5% cap rate. And that cap rate basically says the amount of money you're going to get. Okay. So the cap rate, 7.5% on $150,000 or $1.5 million building. Now I can't tell if I said $150,000 building, but I meant $1.5 million building, is about $113,000 a year. I'll round up. It's about $113,000 a year. So you now have passive cash flow of $113,000 a year coming in. Well, what's your freedom number? It's 150 as we're using this in this example. Okay, well, you got to need to find another something similar to that to make up your $37,000 shortfall you've got. But you're really close to your freedom number at $1.5 million. Because I'll bet listening before this, you're probably thinking, no, I need $5 million to retire. No, I'm telling you that you only need to go find that's less than another $1 million building. If you got $1 million building and you get a 7.5% cap rate on that thing, you're over your freedom number. So you, who have, $150,000 in expenses, only need like $2.5 million in passive income assets to make that money for you. Because here's the thing, is a lot of people think, well, let's go invest in the stock market. Okay, great. Now, like I said, the stock market's to the moon right now. But how many times do you look at it one day and you're like, you're up 5,000, you're down 10,000 the next day? I mean, you probably really shouldn't look at the numbers every day because it'll make you insane. It'll make you insane watching those numbers fluctuate like that. But with these absolute triple net leases, they're guaranteed. They're not, it's such a safe investment, especially when I talk about dental offices in your state, absolute triple net. It's so safe. And that money, again, those taxes and insurance are taken out of that. So like if you live in a state like Florida or Texas or Tennessee that don't have state income tax, you got to report this money on your federal income tax. But that's it. You get that money, you just put it in your pocket, $113,000 a year. And you just figure that out from there. So if you have $300,000 a year in your expenses, you're going to need 3 of those buildings. But your freedom number is still $4.5 million, and I'll bet the average certified financial advisor is going to tell you you're closer to $7 or $8 million before you retire. I just cut your time in half of what you need to retire. You need basically half the amount of money what they're telling you need to retire because you're going to have this passive income in these assets. And again, you can invest in the stock market, and they're going to tell you that on average the stock market gets about 10% a return a year. So if I'm telling you 7.5%, you're going to be like, I'm losing 2.5% return. Maybe. What is one thing that real estate always does? Over time, it always appreciates. It always appreciates. So if you buy this thing at $1.5 million, I'll bet by the time you go to retire, it's going to be worth at least $2 million. How do you calculate that return? Huh? Now go sell the thing if you want. You just made $500,000 if you want. I mean, I wouldn't. Hold on to it. Don't sell the real estate. Every time I've ever done it, I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't. Hold on to the real estate. Please, 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 please. Learn from my mistakes. I kick myself. Just every one of those properties I've ever sold, I look back now and said, damn, I should have held on to that thing. So that's how you figure it out. You figure out your passive income number that you need, and you just go invest it in incredibly safe, in my opinion, commercial real estate assets, more specifically dental offices, because that dental office ain't going out of business. And you can find these things. Like my favorite websites to go to are LoopNet and Crexi.com, Crexi.com. All my inbox is just full all the time of Crexi information because I love looking at it. I love buying this stuff. It's such a rush. It's great. And it's the whole reason I built a huge building. I built a 12,000 square foot building and have space out back for another 7,000 square feet that, I wanted to have. I'll have 19,000 square feet on my one piece of property to go along with everything else to rent when I sell the business someday. Like it'll be just free money coming in because they're going to pay me the rent on the thing. And that's how my lease is already structured on my building. It's absolute triple net. So whoever buys it's going to assume that lease. Great. Awesome. Don't even really care what they ever give me for my business, to be honest with you. I'll have that and it'll be secure and off we go. But I've kind of created a business that I enjoy. I don't plan on selling it anytime soon, but I know a lot of you are really into that. I know a lot of that's how many multiples can we get? Now that's great. Let's do that. Let us get you your multiples if that's what you want to do. I'd caution you against it though, because the only thing about that is just like, then what are you going to do to protect those taxes then? Because you can cover up so much legally in your taxes based upon your business. So you better have an investment vehicle. You better go take it and go buy more passive income then. If you get $1 million, $2 million, $3 million for your practice, you go buy a piece of property. Great. If that's what you're going to do, but just have that plan in place. So make sure you know what you're going to do with the money before you just say, I'm done with this. But if you're going to sell just because you hate running the thing, well, let's work on making an office that you enjoy. Because I used to not like my office, and then I worked on it when I had the time to do it. So you super GP, super CEO equals freedom. Ta-da, done. Like I say, it's a super simple formula. It's not necessarily simple to do it by yourself, but that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Okay? There's no reason you can't have that if you would like to hold on to the office, which long-term is your best investment. It is. It's crazy. But you can build that practice that you want. It takes effort. Yes, everything does. Anything real meaningful change your life is going to take some effort. So let's go do those things. But the other thing that starts to happen is once you know you've taken this money and you've hit your freedom number, there's a lot of dentists out there right now that can be at their freedom number. It changes your treatment presentation to patients. When you know you absolutely, and I'm not saying you do anything wrong right now, but it's like if you're thinking about like, oh, I've got these bills that I got to pay for and things like that, and you go into a treatment presentation, the patient can feel that. Especially when you first start your practice and you're like, oh my God, I got this note that I got to pay the bank, Mindy wants a raise, and you got all that stuff going in the back of your mind. It affects your presentation. It absolutely affects your presentation. When you are free, you can walk in and you can the patient can sense it. It's not a sales job. Because like for me, and again, kind of going back to become a super GP, I've placed so many implants. I've seen so many broken, especially bicuspids, maxillary bicuspid teeth. I mean, if there's an MOD in a maxillary bicuspid tooth, to me, that's a pre-implant. You want to crown it, or do you want to do an implant later? What is your choice? Because I don't care. If you don't crown it now, you're going to lose that tooth. And I know it. And I just got to sit there and be patient. If they don't crown it, I've done my best. I've done my best I can. I've done what I know is the best thing for that tooth, because they're going to lose that tooth ultimately if they just leave it like that. They'll break off the lingual cusp. I see it all the time. And I love placing first premolars or premolars in general. They are the best place to be placing an implant. They're fast, great access. You don't have to worry too much about the aesthetics. I mean, you do. It's towards the front. I don't want to give them a crappy looking crown, but I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? It's different than working on number 8. So, like, that changes you and makes you a better clinician too with all this. Like, you see things differently. And you can speak with more confidence then, and you don't have to worry about whether they're going to do it or not. You can take your $800 insurance crown now, or you can get your $4,000 implant later. What would you prefer? Okay, that's the route you want to go. Awesome decision. Whatever it is that they said, awesome decision. And you don't have to worry about it. Because if they don't want to do the crown, that's fine. I'll be patient. I'll go do another podcast while I'm waiting. And then come talk to you. I said I like talking to you guys. I'd rather do that than go cut a crown. But it improves your case acceptance once you are free from doing this, because it changes your perception on everything. On everything. So you need to start with that end in mind. You need to come up with that number now. It's a fairly simple exercise. And you don't need to necessarily, I said to the penny, but that's the concept that I've wanted. It's everything. It's like, well, should I include this? Yes, include that. Include it. Even if you have things like where your business covers your cars right now and things like that, because if you sell the business, you need to be truly free. It needs to be completely independent then of what you get from the business. Okay? So include everything that that the office pays for right now on that list so you can come up with that number and so you know when you're truly free. That's it. It's the whole thing. And I promise you it'll be about half of the number of whatever you thought you needed in this giant nest egg in order to retire. So I just saved you years of your life of trying to get to that some huge number. You just need to be able to pay for your monthly/yearly expenses. Voila, you're free. You get to do what you want. Work as much as you want, work as little as you want, do the procedures you want. I mean, it's just, it changes everything. And that is true freedom. That's true freedom. You went to school so you could get a job so that you could essentially have the amount of money you needed to live one day. That's it. That's the whole thing. Think about it, going all the way back to you're in kindergarten. That's why you're in kindergarten. That's why you're in kindergarten. That's why you're in first grade, second grade, all of them. You're doing the education so you can get to the point so someday you're free. And you don't owe anyone anything. You don't need to go into work. You don't need to do those things if you don't want to. That is true freedom. And it's going to take a lot less time than you think if you think it from the freedom number standpoint versus some nest egg that you need to get to. Some of you may be there right now. I mean, if that means if you didn't want to do the work and you just want to sell your business and then go buy the real estate that you need to because you're going to get some huge check from DSO, awesome, great, if that's what you want to do. I like the idea of working on the business, A, to become more valuable, B, you'll like it. You can have a practice that you like. I like the people in my practice. I enjoy going in and seeing them. I pal around with a lot of them, and they're my employees. And it's fun because then you get to invest in people. You get to invest in relationships. If I do go in and see patients, again, most of them are just patients that if I'm placing an implant, it's probably someone I've known for a really long time. And I'm doing it as a favor because they helped me grow my practice. I should be grateful to them. They've been coming to me ever since I started. They want to see me. Fine, I'll go see them. That's fine. There's not that many of them. So a lot of them are cool seeing all the other associates. But again, they don't necessarily come to see me for a crown or something. They come and see me for an implant. Okay, great. I'll do that. Thank you. Thank you for being in our practice for so many years. So I invest in them. It's a win-win, you know? And I like keeping my hands wet and doing this stuff. It's fun when you don't have to care. When you don't have to care and you don't have to have it, it's fun and it changes everything. Okay? So, personal freedom number. Figure out what it is. Do your homework. It shouldn't take that long. You should roughly know what it is. It's probably mainly just your credit card bill times 12 and then, throw some other fluff on top of it and away you go. Okay? I mean, this isn't like rocket surgery math that you got to be doing in order to get this done. Just do the math, get it done, then and then go hop on Crexy. Ta-da! Be prepared to be bombarded by emails, but you might want to use like a junk email account or something like that. I made the mistake of not doing that. I'm not sure how that happened until it was too late, apparently. But you'll find your piece of property and you get your freedom number faster and it'll change everything about your life. I promise you. All right. If you haven't already downloaded our book, please head on over to titaniumpractice.com and download our book so you can become a super GP. Everything you need to become a super GP is in that book. If you need any other help over at titaniumpractice.com, please let me know. If you want to just drop me a line over at info@titaniumpractice, I'd love to hear from you and get your thoughts. And I hope you are all well, and I will speak to you next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
You've been listening to the Titanium Practice Podcast with your host, Dr. Stephen Freeman. Please hit the like and subscribe button and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Titanium Practice. Questions or comments? Send an email to info@titaniumpractice.com. Join us next time to help turn your average practice into a titanium practice.